ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulihil Kareem. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma fakkihna fid din. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir. Wa tammim bil khair wa bika nasta'een. Ya Aziz ya Ghaffar. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our Friday series for practical spirituality. We have been doing this series for past some weeks now, and what we are doing is that we are actually walking on a spiritual path. We are taking the practical steps that are needed to attain or come closer to the concept of spirituality. Of course, spirituality is a lifelong endeavor, and it's a constant struggle that we have to go through in this life, because as the Quran says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Successful is the one who has purified it, and this success is full of effort constantly that we have to exert. So today, inshallah, as in the past one, we discussed about reflecting and how it is important to take some time in our lives to be in a seclusion so our hearts can reflect. And we talked about, this thing in nature, that for a seed to grow, it has to be planted under the soil, in seclusion, in the darkness, away from everything else. And after that, it sprouts into a plant, it gives shoots and roots, and it becomes something beneficial. So today, Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari talks about another important concept in life, that is seizing time. And he says something very profound. He says, postponing good deeds until you have free time is an indication of an immature soul. Postponing good deeds until you have free time is an indication of an immature soul. This is very, very profound if you think about it. And what happens is that sometimes we postpone good deeds that we intend to do because we don't have time. Or we might say, I will do it once I'm done with school. I'll do it once I get married. I'll do it once I get old. I will do it once my kids are all grown up. And we say things like that. And we intend to do those things. But the thing is that we postpone it, and we think, okay, after I'm done with this, then I'll do that. After this happens, then I will do that. And what happens is the time keeps on going and the time passes. And Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari calls that this attitude is an attitude of an immature soul. Why? Because doing good deeds, doing good is not a matter of time, of having time. Doing good is a matter of priority. Think about it. Doing good is not a matter of having time. Doing good is a matter of having a priority for that. For example, each and every one of us, schedule our days. We wake up in the morning and we go out from the house, or we are in the house. We work on something for this many hours every day. We have many things, many tasks done. Then we think about it. What are look at those tasks in your day that we spend most time with, and then reflect. As we talked about reflecting in the previous episode, our priorities are what? What mostly in my day, what is the time? What time do I spend on which task? So this will lead me to my priorities. What are my priorities? I'm not saying that we don't have to do the work that is required to live in this world. For example, people have to go to work, they have to earn for their families, they have to go to school to study, jobs are there, taking care of the children. All of that is part of this life, but it doesn't mean that we become lost into that and never make time of doing more good. For example, I am doing everything to live my life, to fulfill the needs that I have, but I don't have time to be of use, to do good to people around me or other than me who might be needing me. Okay, So then, in Islamic law, he's saying that, if you look at the laws of Islam, it teaches you priority. For example, if you have few minutes left for the time of the prayer to close, and you have other things in line too, so what do you do first? You pray, because this is a priority. For example, it's time for the Zohar prayer. Zohar prayer is about to close down, and there are other tasks that needs to be taken care of, but you will do first what? You will pray. Unless there are other things that should take priority, for example, taking care of a child. If a person starts praying in these last minutes of the prayer time closing, the child might get hurt because he or she needs attention now, or other things just like that. But the priority has to be there. Okay, so in Islam, this is called al-fiqh al-awwaliyat, that what should be a priority, and we should think about this. Doing good is not a matter of having time. Doing good is a matter of priority. Okay, so there is this famous saying by many ulama. Some of them also attribute this saying to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, but the chains are very weak on that. So most of the ulama think that this is the sayings of the great ulama that we have. And the saying goes like that most of the pain of the people of the hell will be because of procrastination. Most of the pain of the people of the hell will be because of procrastination. So whether this saying is a sound hadith or not, but the meaning is very correct. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, as for those who will not believe in the life to come, they go on lying to themselves until when death approaches any of them, he prays, O my Lord, let me return to life so that I might act righteously. So Allah Ta'ala talks about these people in the Quran, that they do not believe in the life to come, and they keep procrastinating and wasting their life. But when the death finally comes to them, then they pray to Allah Ta'ala, O Allah, let us return, let us go back to this life, and let us live a life of purpose. But then it's too late, the time is lost. So seizing time, all he's talking about is seizing time, not procrastination. Then he goes on further and he says, and there is almost time for everything. When there is a will, there is a way. If we want to make time, if we prioritize our day, we can make time for all the important things that we have. And this is for sure. And so what we can do is time management. Time management is not only important to run the affairs of this world, time management is also important to have our affairs straight with Allah Ta'ala. And we should be cognizant about our time. So we should maybe have this thing, the priorities, the what can be done after, what is important, and we should also have a list of what we will not do. Because believe it or not, if we are not cognizant of what are the things that I will never waste my time on, we tend to do that. If we should make a mental exercise, a mental note of these things, that these are the things in my life that I will never spend time on. This box should also be there when we are managing time. There should be a box of your priorities that you need to do first. Then after that, what is most important. Then there can be a bucket list that if the time allows, I will do this and this and this. But there should also be a list that these are the things I will never spend my time on. And believe me, it will work for you. Believe me that. Okay. So then, he simply then goes on and he says that, for example, if you have a routine, he's giving us examples of managing time. He says, for example, if you're in a habit of listening to Quran every day in the morning or reading some passage of the Quran every day in the morning, and there is some day that you have to leave for work early and you have to go, so then use that time in the car to listen to Quran or listen to the reminder, or if you don't have that, at least if you're traveling, you're doing something, reflect on some of the verses of the Quran, so inshallah you are not missing out on that. And then he's also giving us examples. Many ulama have talked about that. I've heard many people even say that people, because in the West there's a lot of traveling going on, and people usually take buses, and they travel long distances to go to work. There's an hour drive to school, there's an hour drive back from school, there's an hour drive to work and an hour drive back from work. And there are people who have memorized the whole Quran in years, in their commute, during their commute. Just imagine that. Why were they able to do that? Because they were able to manage their time properly. This was the thing. Then he comes in the last, he comes to another thing. He says, a believer should set his priorities straight and start with what is most important. So when we are managing our time, so we should start with something that is the most important, and Islam also guides us on that, what is most important. According to the system of priorities in Islamic law, the rights of other people have higher priorities than what the scholars call the rights of Allah. So the rights of other people on us are always our priority than the rights of Allah Ta'ala. It doesn't mean that we will not pray. Of course, prayer can be delayed if there is a need to fulfill the rights of people who are in need of us. There's an elderly parent who is in need, there's a small child that is in need. Of course, what we can do is, if they need us now, we can delay the prayer but not miss it. It doesn't mean that we can miss the prayer because of that. But in Islamic law, the rights of other people take priorities on us, take a priority than the rights of Allah Ta'ala. So it doesn't mean that we will leave it altogether. It means that, for example, this is now the time of the prayer, and a small child needs you, your elderly parent needs you, somebody needs help at that moment, you are a doctor or you work at a hospital. Now this is the time that somebody is in need of you. So it can be delayed but cannot be missed. Okay. But then he says that, of course, these are the priorities and that needs to be taken care of. But making these priorities, like a way of leaving the deeds that are also important to us, is not the right way to do it. He calls that procrastination. For example, many people might think, this is a very cultural attitude that we might have, that when my kids are all grown up, I might go to Hajj, even though I might have the ability to go to Hajj now. Right? Then this should not be done like that. If the people have the physical and the financial ability to go, they should go as soon as possible. But these kinds of attitudes are sometimes there which are not right. So Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari is saying that procrastination of good deeds is a sign of an immature soul. So we should think about this. Why? Because doing good is not a matter of having time. Doing good is a matter of priority. So seize your time in this life. Keep telling yourself, this is the only life, there is no other life. This is why I should not waste it. Make this thing in your life, write it down somewhere. What are my priorities? What should be done after that? Have a bucket list of things that you will do if you have time in life, which is left over from your priorities and the things you need to do. And then also have a list of things that you will never waste your time on. With that we close. وآخر دعوانا والحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. I'll see you all next Friday with the next step in this journey towards practical spirituality. جزاكم الله خيرا كثيرا.
قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين.